I fully acknowledge that I am insecure and need to work on developing thicker skin. That is the whole reason I am even here on Reddit feeling upset. I got called a short king out of nowhere, and it is messing with my head. Am I overthinking this? I am 175 centimeters without shoes, which is basically 5 feet 9 inches. I have been measured by a nurse, at the gym, by myself, and by my dad. I have never thought I was tall. At best, I figured I was average or slightly below. But I never once thought of myself as short or labeled myself a short king. I recently hooked up with a girl who is probably around 5 feet 1 inch or 5 feet 2 inches. She sent me a meme about girls accepting 5 feet 4 inches short kings. Then she said something like, "I don't know if you're 5 feet 4 inches, but you're definitely a short king." That threw me off. Not because I care about her or what she thinks. I am genuinely not emotionally into her. I just wanted to sleep with her. And she also knows this. But that comment stuck in my head. She later tried to explain it as a compliment and said she meant to focus on the king part. She then made a comment like, "I said short in reference to the average height being 5 feet 7 inches or 5 feet 8 inches. But I am taller than that." She also started saying I was beautiful and commenting on my smile, hair, eyes, and so on, and that the point was that my height does not matter. This did not really help me feel better. I have never commented on anyone's body or physical traits. I have always thought I was just average height, and I have never been insecure about it. But this comment blindsided me, and now I am thinking back on other dating situations and wondering, is this how women see me? I know I should not let a random comment from someone I barely care about mess with me, but it has been sitting in my head. Do women actually think 5 feet 9 inches is short now? Or is this just some casual label people throw around without thinking? Story 1. I was bullied for being short in middle school by a big girl. One day she said the classic, "Why are you so short?" And I stared at her and said, "Why are you so wide?" That seemed to do the trick. We are commenting on people's bodies. Okay, let's do it. Yes, who got an in-school suspension? She never said anything about my height after that. Story 2. Unironically, I think she might just be trying to undermine your confidence. I am 5 feet 5 inches tall, and I would be surprised if someone commented on my height. It is just not relevant. Story 3. I do not really understand the female fascination with height. I can kind of understand a woman wanting a man who is at least taller than her, as someone needs to get the dishes off the top shelf. What I do not understand is a woman who is 5 feet 3 inches tall saying she could never be with someone under 6 feet tall, as a female coworker just told me. I guess it is just a preference, but only about 14.5% of males in the United States are 6 feet tall or taller. This may sound rude, but women, you should also be in the top 14.5% of physical attributes if this is your stance. Story 4. In the current social climate, if a man is not above 6 feet tall, he is automatically labeled a short king. Do not worry about it at all. I say this as a 5 feet 7 inches short king myself. I still have no problem attracting women whatsoever. Yes, the short jokes are annoying, but you can easily respond if you have a good mouthpiece. You will be fine. Story 5. 5 feet 9 inches. It is the average height. I think this short king phrase is just a meme at this point. However, I do not think it is a nice thing to call someone. Story 6. As far as I am aware, 5 feet 9 inches is the average height for an adult male in the United States, so no, you are not short. I think the girl who said it to you is possibly just unkind. Do not let it affect you. Just let it roll off your back and continue with your life. Story 7. In a relationship, you should build each other up. If you have said that you do not like the comment, and she repeats it, that is a red flag you need to recognize. Also, 5 feet 9 inches with a child who is taller than me now. Story 8. Listen, brother. The day I realized women don't know how long anything is, I stopped caring. Ask a girl how long 6 inches is, and they will show you something much longer. Girls I've slept with think I'm like 7 or more inches. I'm not small, but I'm not a porn star magnum either. Ask her what she thinks 6 feet is, and she will point to someone 6 feet 3 inches. I tell everyone I meet I'm 5 feet 8 inches just to mess with them because almost everyone assumes I'm 6 feet. Part of this is because I had a very late growth spurt in my mid-20s. I was documented as 5 feet 8 inches at 24, and by 26, I was 5 feet 11 inches. My license says 6 feet because the officer just believed me when I said it. Women are just repeating things because they don't really know what they want. On the surface, they want a guy taller than other guys. Deeper down, they want a guy who makes them feel protected. Height is a shortcut to that, even more than having muscles. Projects strength. She called you a short king because some part of her saw a flaw in your projection of strength. It's up to you to decide if that's valid criticism. In this case, it doesn't seem like it. Chin up, man. That girl is chronically online. I spent the first part of this seemingly bashing women, but I find myself thinking I'm short at times because I only notice people taller than me. Social media messes us all up. I use general terms, but I know not all women are like this. This is just a framework you can run your feelings through. Story 9. Becoming immune to women's words is part of becoming a man. When you realize it is mostly emotional and sexual politics and you do not need to assign any meaning to the specific words said, as long as you tune into the emotional valence, you are ready. Story 10. As another 5 foot 9 inch guy, I also dislike being called short king. I am not short, although I know I am certainly not tall. It feels insulting when said by someone to you versus a title you claim for yourself. I would not go around calling overweight girls thick queens because it would be mean. That being said, it is not something I really focus on or get stuck on. People say lots of stupid stuff, and I have pretty thick skin and am confident in myself. I usually say something like, I am the average height of an American male, or, how dare you, I am a tall 5 foot 9. In a fake offended voice that gets laughs, and then I just breeze past it. Story 11. 5 feet 9 inches is the average height for American, British, and Australian men, and slightly below average for Canadian and Norwegian men. The only countries where that height would be considered short are Croatia and the Netherlands. Story 12. It's all skewed now because people think anyone under 6 feet is short. I just lean into it, though, whatever. Common responses from me, damn right, I'm handsome and smart. If I was tall too, it wouldn't be fair. I'll live longer. Long live the king. And so on. One of my wedding photos shows my wife lifting me up. In all my sports photos, I'm either on someone's shoulders or being carried by the team. I love it. I'm married to a stunning woman. I'm well paid. And I hold my own against bigger guys every day at the gym. Who cares if people think I'm short? It's a joke to me. Story 13. 5 feet 9 inches is exactly the average height of men in the United States. Assuming you are American. You are average height, my friend, not short. There are many memes on social media, but they are just that, memes. Take it lightly and be confident in yourself. Easier said than done, I know. Story 14, brother. I'm 6 feet 1 inch tall. You are only 4 inches shorter than me. You are not short. That woman has an odd perspective on short king, especially since she is 5 feet 1 inch tall. Maybe she only knows men who play basketball and are all over 6 feet 5 inches tall. Story 15. To be brutally honest, all the answers here are nonsense to me. It doesn't matter if you're average height, shorter, taller, or whatever. It's not relevant. And who am I to say things like this? A nobody for sure, but I'm 1.63 meters. Every time somebody pointed out that I'm short or tried to make fun of me, it just made it clear that person is a detriment in my life and that I couldn't care less about them. Am I really going to waste my time arguing with somebody or feeling bad about myself for something I have no control over? Absolutely not. I just shrug it off and go my own way. I'd feel much worse about myself if somebody called me stupid or if I couldn't accomplish something. That's totally on me. My intelligence is on me, the choice to be a better person is on me, but my height, I cannot do anything about that and I couldn't care less. Good luck, mate. Story 16. Is it possible that you just wanting to sleep with her and her knowing this deep down hurts her, and she kind of wanted to hurt you back? Short king is definitely a backhanded compliment. If the above isn't relevant, and you are sure she's cool with just hooking up and not the type to get emotional, she's most likely just not very thoughtful and watches too much popular culture. She is just throwing around a popular phrase because you aren't 6 feet 4 inches. As a woman who is 5 feet 2 inches, I do not view a man who is 7 inches taller than me as short. Tall? No. Short? No. Average? Probably. And definitely a lot taller than I am. Don't get caught up on it. You were obviously attractive enough to get her into bed, so short, mid, tall, whatever you are, you get laid. Edit to add. I just noticed you asked this on a men's advice forum. Hopefully, my feedback is still mildly helpful. Story 17. Honestly, I feed into it. I can't change my height. My mother is 4 feet 10 inches, my father is a foot taller. I topped out in the middle at 5 feet 3 inches. Whenever someone makes a short joke, I just respond ridiculously. For example, my girlfriend is taller than I am, and I don't hide that. I had a coworker tease me about it once, and I just shrugged and said, "We're both the same height lying down." The same guy also used to make jokes about the Lollipop Guild looking for me. I like to make a spooked face and say, "Oh no, I don't want to go back. Don't tell them where I am." I hated hearing it all when I was much younger, but I'm 33 and just used to it now. I'm short. It's not a very exciting thing. Story 18. Think of calling a man short king as being like calling a woman thick. It is a way to comment on a feature that might traditionally be seen as less attractive, but that this person embraces confidently. It is also an in vogue slang right now. Give it time and people will say it less. Story 19. It's a right now social media environment thing. I've seen it all over Instagram. If you're under 6 feet, you're short or like cope tall. I'm 5 feet 11 inches and started seeing the memes. I thought to myself, oh, maybe the general public is getting taller with the new generation or something. Well, whatever. I wouldn't have considered myself tall anyways, just average or something. Then a handful of people proceeded to call me tall in real life. I wouldn't waste too much time thinking about it. Also, someone said this girl might be flirting with you or negging you. Both seem reasonable. Story 20. Short men have many unique strengths that taller people may not possess. Don't take it personally. If you are around people who believe height is important, they are not worth your time or energy. Story 21. You are only considered short in the sense that some women see 6 inches or taller as ideal or have that misguided Division I athlete idea in their head. That being said, the title itself is not something to worry about and should actually boost your confidence. The saying refers to a woman's perception that your looks, charm, and other qualities are so great that height preferences are disregarded. I don't think she intended any harm in her comment. Rather, it is a sign that she probably likes you for more than just a casual relationship based on who you are overall. Story 22. A couple of takeaways. First, 5 feet 9 inches is not short. I would categorize that height as average. Confidence seems to be lacking here because you should not be fazed by comments like these, especially from people whose opinions you do not value. Edit. I am 5 feet 6 inches and fully embrace my height. Comes with advantages in many regards, to be honest. I understand women have strong expectations regarding male height, but I honestly do not care because men often have strong expectations regarding female weight and height as well. I am just accepting the reality of it all. Story 23. Who cares what they say? Worrying about something beyond your control is a waste of energy. It sounds like the person calling you that is insecure. A confident person would not say things like that. Story 24. Laughing out loud. What the heck? 5 feet 9 inches has never been short. It is exactly average. Nearly 50% of all men are within 1 inch of this height. Story 25. About as much as I care about being called male or straight. Factually accurate with no further implications. Story 26. Where do you live? I am in the United States, one of the tallest countries, where 5 feet 10 inches is average. You are not considered short by any means. Story 27. I am 5 feet 2 inches and would not consider you a short king. For me personally, it would be 5 feet 5 inches or below, and even then, I would not refer to a man as a short king. Story 28. You need to unconditionally love yourself and laugh at others for being weird and superficial. You judge other people only as much as you judge yourself. Story 29. A minority of people think anyone below 6 feet is short. You just happen to get stoked by 2 or 3 back to back. Anyway, short king has become normalized, like, go get them, short king. Or the meme where a woman tells other women good luck nitpicking 6-foot people who are rude, while she enjoys her sweet 5'7" short king. Either way, you can't change your height, so don't think too much about it. Story 30. I want to start by saying I am 6 feet tall, and people often claim that I am taller than that. So take what I say with a grain of salt because none of it is first-hand experience. I had a friend everyone called Tiny Box Tim, a Markiplier reference, because he was 4 feet 11 inches tall, and his name was Tim. He only allowed his friends to call him that, and if anyone else tried, he would make it very clear that only his friends could use that nickname and that he did not consider others friends. From what I could tell, he liked to have fun with it but also wanted to make sure he was respected despite his height. Our group knew he could be very chill, but he was also at the perfect height to punch someone square in the groin, so it was best not to anger him. We all did a pretty good job respecting him, and we all made fun of each other's bodies. Typical high school boy shenanigans. If it makes you feel any better, I was the skinny one in the group, so they made jokes about how I could slip into the drains on the road or how the wind would blow me away, so they needed to tie a string around me like a kite. They would even pick me up and walk around with me while I shouted, "We're gay!" We had a fun group. Story 31. How do I handle it? I ignore it. Let them think whatever they please about my height. Their opinions change absolutely nothing about my capability. Story 32. I think you are too focused on the short aspect. If a woman is calling you a short king, it is because she finds you exceptional. Otherwise, she would not have slept with you in the first place. If anything, it shows that your height is not holding you back because clearly she still finds you attractive. I understand why the comment might bother you, but you are probably better off learning to think of the positive aspects rather than fixating on the negative part. Story 33. I'm short for a guy. I don't care because it's not worth dwelling on. I have female friends who are over 6 feet 2 inches tall. I ask them to make sure they stand in a way that blocks the sun. I also ask them to get things from high places so I don't risk hurting myself reaching for items. It's great. Story 34. This short king nonsense has to go. I am 5 feet 7 inches, which certainly is not tall, but if someone called me short king, I would completely reject it. Story 35. When someone calls me a short king, I don't think anything of it. It's like someone saying to me, "Yogurt king." Yes, I eat yogurt, so what? My height has never bothered me, and I have dated women who were taller than me. Most women truly don't care. Story 36. You could be tall, and people might be disappointed and confused by your personal life choices if you do not want to pursue sports. Essentially, you do not need to live up to anyone else's expectations based on how you were born. Story 37. She either said it to get in your head and make you dwell on her success, or it is a case of awkward flirting gone wrong with her follow-up. Regardless, as everyone else has pointed out, you are lost in the sauce over nothing, especially if this is just a one-time occurrence. You might want to analyze why this one comment from a girl you do care about got you this spun around. Story 38. I am a woman and I tend to never comment there because I know this is an Ask Men subreddit, but I want to reassure you that I could not care less about height. That said, I am 5 feet 4 inches, so as long as he is not 5 feet 3 inches or less, then I am fine. Story 39. I'm 5 feet 9 inches too. Height is strange now in the dating world, and it is all about social media. They are trying to separate notably tall people from everyone else, and the message is that if you are not notably tall, you are short. So we middle height people get lumped in with short people. Honestly, I have come to take a positive mindset on it. I dislike people who get sucked into things pushed on social media. If you think I am notably short because I am 5 feet 9 inches, then I would like to know that right away. Not because I cannot handle you thinking I am short. I cannot handle you believing whatever TikTok feeds you. Also, remember that being attractive is about being attractive. Are you attracted to breasts? Let's say yes. If you found a really attractive woman who was not massively endowed, you would probably still be attracted. Women are similar. Women probably find tall men more attractive, but it is not a rule. So when I see women on dating apps hiding heights under a certain number, I feel like I dodged a bullet because, again, they are falling into the social media myth that it does not matter how attractive you are if you do not meet a certain height. My close group of friends are all over 6 feet 2 inches, so I have dealt with short guy jokes my whole life. It is just part of life. But you are not notably short, and a woman looking at you is not going to think you are ugly just based on your height. You just do not have the kind of height that makes up for unattractive traits. Story 40. I came to say that you should have said something like, "Thank you, my sexy peasant." Then I read she also told you to focus on the king part. Who cares if she thinks you're short? There are people out there who think you're ugly and weak. Are you going to fight them all? Be confident in who you are. That's it. Flip the script. Be sarcastic or ignore it and move on. This behavior will make you charming. Story 41. I am 5 feet 4 inches tall, but despite that, I still get stalked and harassed. I guess some women, especially those who identify as girl bosses, think that my shorter height makes me an easier target. Comments about my height have not bothered me ever since. Story 42. Unfortunately, today, most girls think any man under 6 feet 4 inches is short. That's dramatic. I've heard the cutoff is 6 feet. It's annoying and gross. Most height averages by country range from 5 feet 6 inches to 5 feet 9 inches. Of course, there are taller countries, but they are not important right now unless you live in one. However, all countries, with the exception of one, have average male heights listed under 6 feet. As a woman whose guilty pleasure is trash dating television, it blows my mind how many girls immediately mention height when asked what they are looking for in a man. It would not be so disrespectful to me if women did not then say that physically judging women is disgusting. Height cannot be helped. I love a confident man, and I hate that men who should be considered tall, 5 feet 9 inches and above, are still labeled short because they are not over 6 feet. I know this will always linger in the back of your mind, but work on your confidence. Know that you are not short, but you are a king. Someone who is not shallow and does not judge men based on simple genetics and societal expectations will eventually come along and treat you right. Plenty of women are not looking for men to be a foot taller than them, and many are willing to be with a man who is shorter or the same height. The only time I have had an issue with a man's height was when he had an issue with it at a level I was not willing to compromise. He did not want me wearing heels and said he would not have gone out with me if I were taller. We were the same height. Story 43. You are the average height for Americans, which is probably close to the average height for where you live as well. You are by no means short. Story 44. 5 feet 9 inches is definitely an average height for men in the United States. She may be used to seeing 6 feet as normal. It's easy for people to have distorted ideas of short and tall, and she may just not realize what 5 feet 9 inches actually looks like. Or she could be teasing you, but it's unlikely. It is more probable that she simply does not know what average height looks like. I am 5 feet 3 inches. That is short, but the only comments I get about my height come from me and my friends joking around and making memes. None of us actually think it is a big deal. If someone called me a short king, I would probably make some kind of joke about it. It might not land well, but I would try. It would not bother me unless it was used negatively, and even then, I would only care if I valued that person's opinion. My question is, why is this bothering you? Do you associate being short with a negative trait? Are you worried about future prospects with other women? Do you see it as conflicting with your identity for some reason? Do you care about this woman's opinion more than you admit? Is there another reason this bothers you? Essentially, why should this bother you at all? I ask these questions because if you can determine why it bothers you, you can figure out how to move past it more easily. Story 45. Wow, if 5 feet 9 inches is considered short, you must be in a tall country. I am 5 feet 7 inches, and that is universally considered short. Story 46. Spider-Man is canonically 5 feet 10 inches tall. He is cooler than anyone I have met in real life and attracts many admirers. Story 47. I would start lifting. My dad is 5 feet 8 inches tall, and no one calls him short because he is muscular. He is known as the buff guy, not the short guy. Story 48. 5 feet 9 inches is perfectly average for men in the United States. Worldwide, it is 5 feet 7 inches. Women often consider anyone under 6 feet tall to be short. I am extremely tall, and many short women have told me they only want to date tall men. All I could think was, oh, the irony. When I tell them I only want to date tall women, they become angry. Suddenly, I am a jerk for not looking past physical traits and for not focusing on important qualities instead of height. Again, oh, the irony. Story 49. I believe the average height of a man is 5 feet 9 inches, at least in the United States. Men who are 6 feet or taller are only about 15% of the population. Story 50. I hate when people call each other kings or queens. No one is royalty, and it just overinflates the ego. No one is special. No one is a beautiful or unique snowflake. We are all here for a moment and then we are gone. Let go of the terms king and queen. They just make you sound needy and insecure. Story 51. I am going to assume you are American and point out that according to my quick research, the global average height is 171 centimeters, and in the United States it is 175 centimeters. There is no point in thinking too much about your height. It is like many things. If you act like you are bothered by your height, that is when people start to notice and actually care. Only immature people talk down to others because of their height. Why care about what immature people think anyway? Story 52. I recommend not immediately assuming negative intent. Instead, assume that she was innocently trying to compliment you, not realizing the alternate ways her words could be interpreted. Then observe how she treats you in person. If you feel she respects you, proceed with the earlier interpretation. Otherwise, it is possible she intended it as a backhanded compliment, and you can adjust your interactions accordingly. Story 53. She later tried to explain it as a compliment and said she meant to focus on the king part. I think she was being genuine. Many women do not realize that this has become a harsh insult online. More importantly, is she still talking to you? So just go with it. I have been called much worse than short king. In fact, short is probably the only thing I have never been called. Story 54. If someone called me short king at 5 feet 9 inches, I would think they were either joking or not thinking clearly. I would not care either way, but maybe it is because of the I do not give a factor switch that activates at 30. Besides, you were already inside of her, so I doubt she cares either. Story 55. You're asking men if women think like this? Probably. I've seen many attractive women disqualify a man based on height alone without even giving him a chance. I've never been called a short king, but it honestly would feel like an insult rather than a compliment. It's probably best that you have no romantic connection with this person. Story 56. I've never felt like my height or lack thereof was a hindrance in my life. It's about personality. That is not to say I'm without flaws, but I have never dwelled on it. I also started going bald in my late 20s. I shaved my head and went with it. It was never an issue for me. I got married to an amazing and beautiful woman at 40. Now in my mid-50s, people who don't know us are taken aback when they realize she is my wife. Don't let that be the driver. Find your confidence and be yourself. As long as being yourself does not mean being misogynistic or disrespectful, and you have a bit of drive, humor, humility, empathy, and true knowledge of facts, science, and the world around you, you will be fine. You will also be able to separate the wheat from the chaff. And no, I'm not a nice guy. As I said, I have my faults. Numerous. Story 57. 5 feet 9 inches is the national average. You are not short. I have been 5 feet 9 inches my whole life and have never once thought about it. Nor has anyone ever said anything. I think you found the one person on earth who cares. I would ignore her and move along. Story 58. Sometimes things are so incredible their size is limited by the mass of their talent, which implodes like a neutron star. Prince and Bruno Mars are easy examples. Story 59. I am 5 feet 7 inches tall, and no one has ever said anything about my height. If they do, it means nothing. Height is not something you can control, so it shows how shallow they are. Story 60. I am 5 feet 6 inches tall, and they called you a short king? The woman is very unintelligent, and you dodged a bullet. When it comes to comments, unless they are from God or some deity, they are irrelevant. Once they say a comment like that, they are immediately beneath me and I move on. Not because I am better than them, but because I am not accepting that behavior. Story 61. 5 feet 8 inches here and could not care if I am short or not. I have dated women ranging in height from 5 feet 12 inches to 6 feet 2 inches. I am good. Story 62. First of all, 5 feet 9 inches is a perfectly average height for a man. Second, that girl has no idea what she is talking about. Enough said. Story 63. Focus on the part where she compliments you. It was never meant as an insult or to make you self-conscious. She is interested in you, embrace the moment. I have been in a committed relationship for 9 years, and she has never complimented any physical features. Appreciate it. Story 64. Doesn't bother me at all. I know plenty of short men who make a big deal about it, but the older I get, the more I realize that while being tall is something to like, there are other qualities I can develop. I focus on my strengths, not on the ones I don't have and cannot change. Story 65. According to society, 6 feet 1 inch and above is tall, 6 feet 0 inches is average, and anything below 6 feet 0 inches is short. Just don't let it get to you. Own it confidently and call yourself a short king. Nobody else matters anyway. Story 66. Many women believe that a height of 5 feet 9 inches is considered short, that Chris Bumstead has a dad bod, and that they are perfect 10s when they are really 6s. Thank social media and dating applications. Story 67. We are all about the same height lying horizontally on my bed. Plus, I have a larger size than many 6-foot-tall men with 5 inches. Story 68. I am 5 feet 4 inches tall and consider myself a short king. I am short but handsome, charming, and well-built. Build up your confidence. A common compliment I receive is that no one believes I am so short. They think my confidence or build makes me appear taller. The only time my height bothers me is when I am at a bar or large sporting event. It is difficult to get a drink surrounded by tall people. Story 69. My partner is about the same height as you and has a bit of a thing about height. It is often one of the first things he uses to describe another person, which shows it is something he notices and compares when he sees someone. I never understood it because, as you say, it is a pretty average height. However, I do think that recently, especially with dating apps, men face expectations of being 6 feet tall or they are considered too short. This is absolute madness because, in most countries, 6 feet is quite tall. Don't overthink it. She is probably spending too much time on social media and not enough time in the real world. Story 70. People are bad at estimating averages when they are biased, and many women are very biased about height. They may know that 5 feet 9 inches is average on paper, but when they are only looking at above average height men, their idea of what 5 feet 9 inches looks like becomes very skewed. Story 71. Short man syndrome is a real condition. Do not be that person. 5 feet 9 inches is completely normal. Do not let others affect your confidence. Story 72. At 54 and 5 feet 8 inches, I do not recall anyone but me or my children commenting on my height in a way that stuck with me for decades. I mainly talk about my height because I have a notably long torso and short femurs, so I seem much taller sitting down but am happy with coach legroom, less so shoulder width. Story 73. She cannot tell the difference between 5 feet 3 inches and 5 feet 9 inches. Why do you care? You are not short. Move on with life. Story 74. That woman rates 9 out of 10, is heavily active on social media, and thinks that behavior is acceptable in real life. Sadly, some people are like this. Also, isn't the average American, assuming you are American, about 5 feet 8 inches tall? So, you are average height or taller, you are not a short king. Story 75. Does the girl have a skinny or thick butt? If it is not skinny, comment that you have always preferred big butts. Give her a nickname, fat back or big back. See how she responds. Story 76. A girl who is 5 feet 2 inches. Thought you might be 5 feet 4 inches. No reason to be insecure, buddy. This person is a dumbass. Story 77. I have received more comments about other things than my height. I do not really care about my height. Story 78. I have never been undermined for my height except when I was younger, unless it was a group of guys just joking around. I am 5 feet 8 inches tall. Story 79. I do not know, sometimes you have to take potential put-downs with a grain of salt and just let them roll off. I am 191 centimeters tall, approximately 6 feet 3 inches, and have been called a giant by a shorter person. You are taller than average in most areas of the world except in outliers like the Netherlands. Also, if she cannot tell the difference between 5 feet 4 inches and 5 feet 9 inches, her opinion on it is irrelevant anyway. Story 80. I am only 5 feet 10 inches tall, and I have never been called anything but tall by women, which I always find strange and question because I am exactly average height. Story 81. Just accept your height. Once you do, those jokes will roll off your shoulder, and you can clap back with your own. Story 82. I do not understand them. Even if I did, I would not actually care because I can still attract women at 5 feet 9 inches and 220 pounds. Story 83. I am 5 feet 4 inches tall. People have tried calling me a short king, and I have to explain why it feels like I am being made fun of. You don't get called a tall king if you are tall. So why do you do it to me because I am short? It feels patronizing, and I wish people would stop with that behavior. It is not body positivity. It is entirely tongue-in-cheek making fun of short men. Regardless, long ago I stopped taking it to heart unless someone is deliberately being mean about it. If that is the case, I confront them and tell them to stop. Those people are useless, and their opinion does not matter. For what it is worth, social media often makes it seem like if a man is under 6 feet 0 inches, he is somehow short. This is also why you see many men lying about being over 6 feet tall. Story 84. If you were taller, 99.99999% of the people you meet in this world would still be irrelevant and have no bearing on your life. Focus on the relationships that matter. Focus on the actions and experiences that bring you happiness and fulfillment. You are worrying about the irrelevant. Story 85. Calling anyone king or queen is strange. But short king at 5 feet 9 inches? You are an inch taller than me, and I have never been called one. Of course, I am almost 40, so there is that. Story 86. If you are short, that means the woman who said it to you is basically a hobbit who lives in the ground. I am expecting a 10-foot-tall wizard to show up any day now to make her partake in an epic journey. Story 87. My take is, can I do something about it? Being overweight or underweight in bad shape is something I can address and should take to heart. My height, penis size, complexion, color of my skin are things I cannot change. Anyone making negative comments about these is unkind. It is time to move on. In this case, my answer would be, well, you certainly are no princess. Story 88. If anyone used the term short king around me, I would immediately end the relationship. Just choose a part of her appearance and add queen to the end of it. Call her that. Nose queen, fat queen, knock-kneed queen, bunion queen, freckle queen, mole queen, ear queen. Watch how immediately angry and self-conscious she will get. It is so hypocritical it will make your head spin. Story 89. 5 feet 9 inches is average for a man in the United States. You are not short. One person has a warped perspective. Do not let that make you think everyone shares that view. You have lived this long knowing you are not short. You have not experienced bullying or anything related to your height. Life will go on as it has. Also, if you look around, you will see that men shorter than you are doing fine. Even if you were short, it would not be a problem. Story 90. A girl in that headspace when you are over half a foot taller than her is not someone you want. On the other hand, you need self-confidence and not let things like that bother you. Story 91. I'm 5 feet 6 inches and I play into it. I have become an ordained minister in the Church of Nome because someone made an offhand comment about my height. My usual response to anyone who makes fun of my height is, yeah, you may be bigger than me, but from the kneecaps down, you're mine, pal. Honestly, I make up for lack of height with confidence and a big personality. Story 92. Just call her a dwarf and move on. The average height for women in the United States of America is 5 feet 3 inches, so if you are a short king, she obviously has a significant height disability. Story 93. Respond to her that she is a beautiful queen and she should focus on the queen part. See how it goes. Story 94. How is 175 centimeters short? Either way, height really does not matter in a relationship. You are fine. It is just things people say. Story 95. This woman is conducting what is colloquially known as a stress test in online vernacular. She is probing to see if you are emotionally reactive or have confidence issues. Story 96. I am 6 feet 2 inches tall, but I always tell my dates that I am 5 feet 5 inches tall. People often call me a short king. This might have something to do with it. Story 97. 5 feet 9 inches does not seem short to me. Isn't that about average, depending on the country you live in? I wonder how she would have felt if you said she was a plain queen, queen of plainness. Story 98. A comment like that is just a low-blow insult. It is like a man calling a woman fat when she really is not. I do not care what anyone says or thinks and never have. Story 99. Tell her you think her height is perfect for oral sex, but she should really focus on the perfect part, not the oral sex part. You probably will either never get intimate with her again or she might laugh. It depends on her sense of humor. Story 100. She is probably undermining you. People do this when they are insecure. She is trying to make you insecure so you do not become arrogant with her. Story 101. I, like many people here, am overanalyzing this situation. Sometimes women tease you when they are trying to flirt. Getting upset is not the way to go. Story 102. My girlfriend is relatively short, and I am relatively tall. I am almost 190 centimeters tall, and she is around 160. I always joke that she doesn't have to bend down to tie my shoes. She always says, "No wonder you're slow. Sometimes the air is thin enough there. Isn't it?" We joke with each other. I don't really care. Story 103. Unless you are below 5 feet 3 inches and noticeably short, I generally find height arguments kind of silly. You are 175 centimeters tall, already taller than Steve from Minecraft, who is 170 centimeters, and that is not short. Your case here is simply that someone's taste is a little too strict. For example, you are apparently considered too low ranked in height if you are under 5 feet 10 inches. There is no need to feel insecure about anything here. Story 104. I'm 5 feet 10 inches and no one has ever commented on my height. It sounds like she was trying to compliment you, and you are overthinking it. She did not express it well, but I would focus on the positive part more than the negative if I were you. If you are honestly 5 feet 9 inches and not exaggerating, then you are not short, so why does this bother you? Story 105. Hey man, this post may be a little long-winded, but like most stories, it really comes down to context. I'm 5 feet 6 inches. I spent a large part of my 20s improving myself on the assumption it would help me attract women. I got fit, started dressing better, and realized I needed to develop a personality. Keep in mind this was around 2008 to 2010 when the game and pickup artist materials were just emerging. Like many things trying to take advantage of young men, they contained kernels of truth in their methodology. I am glad I left that group before causing irreparable harm to myself or others, but I did learn several valuable lessons that have served me well. Namely, I learned how to be a good storyteller and to collect and create my own story. So, by the time I was 25, I felt pretty confident, but one thing I couldn't change remained: my height. I had primarily met people in the real world, so with rare exceptions, my height never really came up. For example, I had previously dated a 6'3" volleyball player in university who loved that I was one of the few people who could lift her. It wasn't until I entered the virtual dating world on platforms like Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge that I faced outright rejection because I apparently wasn't tall enough. I believe this stems from the commercialization of online dating, where many people are not just looking for a partner, but rather a partner who will be a good accessory for photos. First, this made me very bitter. It seemed unfair to be rejected for a trait I had no control over. I ended up traveling and wrestling with this insecurity. As I met more people, I realized that the things I initially did to get attention, working out, learning to cook amazing meals, gardening, were actually things I enjoyed and that gave me peace. This gave me confidence to be happy with who I am and helped solidify my identity. I'm 37 now. I've been with someone for the past 3 years, and we are roughly the same height. I have many screenshots of women turning me down because of my height, and all I can say is, your loss. Sometimes people who are very active online call me a short king, and I just respond, yeah, the view is pretty good from the throne. Story 106, short. Just use your throne bearers like any self-respecting dwarf king. In all seriousness, this person sounds misguided. They have spent too much time on social media getting bad dating advice. Story 107. I personally do not care. I am 5 feet 10 inches tall, and the only girls who ever call me short are those whose weight starts with a 2 or 3. Cannot gain height. Weight can be lost. Story 108. Have you ever seen a video of young women commenting on average penis size? They will show you what they think 5, 6, 7 inches is, and they are never even close. The same with height. Do not take it personally. She just said something dumb, but it sounds like she likes you. Story 109. I spent from age 15 to 18 being told I should play high school football, from 18 to 22 being told I should play college football, and from 22 until about 30 being told that I should have played college football. I am 6 feet 4 inches tall, and my frame needs about 270 pounds just to not look skinny. I cannot buy an off-the-shelf watch and expect the band to fit, and I wear a size 15 ring. One of the reasons I stopped going to bars except with large groups of friends is because, despite all the complaints about personal boundaries, women often have a hard time keeping their hands to themselves when they are drunk. Story 110. My husband is the same height as you. You would probably be a good fighter, to be honest. Everything is just right. I think you are overthinking all of this. I am 5 feet 2 inches. My husband is definitely taller and bigger than me. That is all that matters. Story 111. In my experience, most women do not care about height, and those who do are not worth your time. If someone legitimately made fun of me for only being 5 feet 10 inches, I would not know what to say. I would handle it by ignoring the person and never interacting with them again. Story 112. In the United States, I am pretty sure 5 feet 9 inches is average. This is a little weird. I do not see why people are calling you short. You are only about 3 inches away from 6 feet. Story 113. People think I am taller than 5 feet 9 inches. I am secure about my height. I literally tell people I am 5 feet 9 inches. It is not how tall you are, it is how tall you stand. Story 114. I really do not care about comments about height. I think of myself as attractive, so calling me short implies that I am cute, which is still a win in my eyes. Story 115. I have never heard anyone call someone a short king. I am 5 feet 9 inches and people consider me tall. To me, I think I am average height, but I am Filipino, and the average male height is 5 feet 4 inches to 5 feet 5 inches, so I guess I am tall for my ethnicity. I think some women have this stigma that men need to be taller than 6 feet, and that is just wrong. Shallow people are the worst. Story 116. Height is relative, but her calling you short is her being a shallow person. I am a 33-year-old female, 5 feet 9 inches tall, and I do not consider you short. You are the perfect height for me, so do not let that comment bother you. Story 117. I am a short man at 5 feet 7 inches, and I am not nearly as insecure about it as you are being 2 inches taller than me. Brother, what is going on? Your partner made a dumb joke. That is it. Love yourself and focus on being the coolest person you can be, and none of that height stuff matters. Story 118. I am 170 centimeters tall and would just ignore it. I have never had a problem in my life where my height was the reason I could not solve something. The average height where I live is 180 centimeters. Story 119. I would just compliment them right back. Something like, you are much more articulate than people would think. Or, with the right outfit, you could look really nice. Story 120. 5 feet 9 inches is short, bro. I am 6 feet 1 inch and I feel short a lot. Big guys in my line of work are all former athletes, 6 feet 3 inches to 6 feet 5 inches. It is all good. Who cares? You have to make up for it though. Good hygiene, work out, eat clean. Story 121. I am 5 feet 7 inches tall and have always weighed around 120 pounds because I'm active. In my opinion, shallow and insecure people feel the need to make comments like that, which is a major red flag for friends or romantic partners. I will joke about my own size, but why would someone think it is okay to joke about someone else's? While I am at it, for anyone else reading this, rock climbing helped a lot with my self-esteem in my early 20s. Your strength to weight ratio is extremely important, and I was able to progress very quickly. Story 122. I have been bullied since age 5 for my height, continuing into adulthood. Friends, strangers, family, and coworkers have all taken part at some point. I started responding with the nastiest and most rude comments I could think of. I used anything deeply personal or sensitive about the person if I knew such things. Essentially, I stopped brushing it off and began taking it personally, which is the opposite of the usual advice. I can say it has worked every time to stop those comments immediately. They either understand and accept it, or I rarely hear from them again. It is a win-win to remove negative people from your life. Story 123. I am 170 centimeters tall and would just ignore it. I have never in my life had a problem where my height was the reason why I could not solve it. The average height where I live is 180 centimeters. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.